This is the match the people paid to see. The world title match 1 year in the making. The American Dragon Bryan Danielson challenging your Ring of Honor World Champion Samoa Joe.
And Jimmy, it's even more than a year in the making. These two first met on January 1993, rematch at the first anniversary show on February the 8th, 2003. So really you're looking at 18 months in the making. Samoa Joe, perhaps the most aggressive ROH champion, maybe the most aggressive champion in all of wrestling, handshake between two men. To show you the level of respect that Samoa Joe has, Samoa Joe doesn't even try to stare Danielson down. Samoa Joe knows that Danielson would not be intimidated by him. These two guys may not be friends, but they certainly have a lot of healthy respect for each other. Samoa Joe, about 70 pounds weight advantage over Danielson. Now, I talked a moment ago, Jimmy, about how aggressive Samoa Joe is. Samoa Joe wanted to make the ROH more than just another indie title. He wanted to make it a true world title, and he has done that by defending it not only in ROH but in other promotions as well. You know, very well thought of in Japan is Samoa Joe. And he's been very aggressive. A lot of champions, especially when they get deep into the ring like Samoa Joe is, have learned the art of wrestling defensively, have learned to take the draw, have learned to make sure that they sometimes they almost wrestle not to lose. Not Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe wants to build the title with as many impressive victories as he can, even knockout victories. Now, Bryan Danielson, go behind and look at the sit out by Samoa Joe in the reversal. You know, Samoa Joe's wrestling skills on display. Jimmy, one more thing I'd like to point out, because Samoa Joe has been so aggressive, he's taken some matches in non-title situations that he really didn't have to take. He was in survival of the fittest and got pinned in the survival of the fittest, you know, by Colt Cabana. Now, it should be pointed out he got beat with a cradle there. And then in a three-way dance with CM Punk and Homicide, he got pinned there. Again, it was with a pinning combination. Bryan Danielson is a tremendous technical wrestler. And if I think Samoa Joe's susceptible, it's to the quick cradle or the quick pinning combination.
Bryan Danielson feeling out Samoa Joe in the early going here. This is the third singles match between the two, as you mentioned. They are split 1-1, but they have not met in quite some time.
If you ask anybody who the top independent wrestlers in the world are, they may name 5 names. I guarantee you these two would be on everybody's top 5.
When you look at Samoa Joe, you are dealing with a man who made the ROH title a world title. He's defended the belt in Canada, in the United Kingdom, in Germany. He's defeated some of the best going today in title defenses, including Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Paul London, Homicide, CM Punk. He went to that 60-minute draw with at World Title Classic, which many consider the greatest match in ROH history. On the other hand, you have Bryan Danielson as Joe escapes that hold and goes to the leg of Danielson. And Danielson connects early with the enziguri. Moves in, goes for a quick pin. No. Joe tied up in the ropes. As I was saying, Bryan Danielson, he was one of the men that put ROH on the map. Whoever forget the three-way on the very first ROH show, the Era of Honor begins against Low-Ki and Christopher Daniels. Whoever forget his match on the second ROH show, Round Robin Challenge against Low-Ki. Many consider that a match of the year. Whoever forget the epic encounter against Paul London in 2003. And of course, no one will ever forget the match on August 7th, 75 minutes against Austin Aries. World Title Classic Survival of the Fittest against Austin Aries. Reborn Stage 2 against Homicide. All legendary matches here in Ring of Honor. So what you are dealing with right here are two of the men that really made ROH what it is today.
You mentioned CM Punk's 60-minute draw. I wonder how many people may have watched that match and tried to use that as a blueprint on how to beat Samoa Joe. If you notice what CM Punk did, almost the rope-a-dope strategy by CM. where basically, he went and tried to keep the match going, even covered up and tried to absorb some of Joe's best shots to try to make the match go as long as possible to try to take the win out of Samoa Joe. Now, Samoa Joe is carrying more weight in this match. I think it would be a mistake to assume that he can't go long, but he's proven on a couple of occasions, including the 60-minute match against CM Punk, that he can go long. He was not out of gas at the end of that match. CM Punk just had a great night, and Samoa Joe couldn't figure out a way to beat him.
This match does have a 60-minute time limit, Mark, but also there will be a 5-minute overtime period in the event that it does go to a draw as Joe jocks backwards and Danielson lands hard.
So in other words, it's a 65-minute time limit.
Basically, with a rest period after the 60 minutes.
Is there going to be a little halftime show or something?
Joe now tying up Danielson.
Now, interesting, if this match is on its feet, then it's Samoa Joe's advantage. If it's on the mat, then it's Danielson's advantage. And interestingly enough, Samoa Joe is taking the match to Danielson on the mat. It looks like Samoa Joe wants to wrestle Danielson as opposed to standing up and trading strikes.
Danielson likes to go for that cattle mutilation submission. You have to watch out for that. Samoa Joe, on the other hand, has a lot of high-impact moves in his arsenal, including the lariat, the muscle buster, the island driver, and when it comes to making his man tap, you have to watch out for that chokehold. And beautiful bridge there by Bryan Danielson working on the leg of Samoa Joe.
Reverse step over toe hold with a high bridge. And if you want to take somebody's striking capability away, this is how you do it. You take their legs out from under them. Samoa Joe with those massive thighs. My old buddy Joe Blanchard used to call them cakes. The cakes on the linemen or the cakes on the big wrestlers. And right now he's trying to take those thighs out from under him because that's where Joe generates the power for those strikes. And certainly it would take away the ole ole kick.
What a night we've seen here in Philadelphia. You have to be here live to experience ROH. Prince Nana bringing in Ricky Morton as a surprise to the Midnight Express. Who will ever forget that? Lacey and Becky almost going at it. Nigel McGuinness scoring the victory of his life. Austin Aries and Alex Shelley surviving the 8-man elimination, but a little dissension there. What a night it would be, and could you imagine if it ends with a world title change? Bryan Danielson, interesting enough, this is his first title shot here in ROH, as Joe aggressively taking it to him right now.
I think this is Samoa Joe's most dangerous challenge that he's had maybe this year, because I think Bryan Danielson is the best mat wrestler of all the challengers that he's faced. And I think that, I'm not saying that's a weakness of Joe, but I think when Samoa Joe loses, it's going to be a quick pinning combination or a cradle. Somebody's going to have to out-wrestle him. You're not going to stand up there and trade shots with Samoa Joe and come out on top.
Danielson going after the leg of Joe, a very sound strategy in this one. You do mention the quick pin. Don't forget how he defeated Austin Aries in that 2 out of 3 fall match. The 1 fall Danielson won. He won because he had cattle mutilation on, and then he turned it into a crucifix type pinning, and that put Austin Aries down, so Danielson can't score that pin. And also, when he defeated Samoa Joe at the first anniversary show, it was with a pinning combination. Joe trying to chop his way out of this leg vice.
I'm wondering, we talked about how aggressive Samoa Joe is and how Samoa Joe always feels a need to prove himself even though he's been ROH champion for 19 months. I wonder if he's come in here to prove that he's more than just a heavy hitter, that he can wrestle with anybody, because it seems that's been his strategy against Danielson so far. Greco-Roman knuckle lock, and boy, I don't know about this strategy on Danielson's part. That seems to be playing into Samoa Joe's strengths.
Joe's peppering him with those headbutts. Many people consider Bryan Danielson the uncrowned ROH champion for all that he has done in Ring of Honor, all the great matches he has had. And there's a brutal kick right to the face of Danielson. And we got a pinfall attempt early. Just a 1. Another 1 count.
I think Samoa Joe's is just as interested in planting that forearm right on the cheekbone as he is with the cover. Now double underhook by Samoa Joe. Notice the way Samoa Joe is taking advantage of the weight advantage, and he's going to make Bryan Danielson carry those 270 pounds.
Hear the crowd just appreciating this one. Oh, dropkick catches Joe right in the mouth.
From a standing position, a lot of guys, when you see hit a drop kick like that, have to take 2 or 3 steps. Not Danielson. He's so quick and has such great hops. He can hit a drop kick from anywhere on the mat.
Real quick, I have to pay the bills here, Mark Nolte. Artie's in my earpiece telling me we got to pay the bills. Ring of Honor, of course, has a new merchandise company. Check it out at ROHWrestling.com as Danielson goes to the face, or by calling 215-781-2500. DVDs and tapes from many different promotions, rare wrestling figures, t-shirts, and of course the Straight Shooting series. Ring of Honor is the new King of the Shoot interview, and I'll pick that up in a minute as Joe trying to strike Danielson. Danielson using his quickness, and the crowd's eating it up.
All right, now I'm starting to understand Danielson's strategy a little bit better, because remember we talked a little bit earlier, it looked like Danielson wanted to trade shots. He doesn't want to trade shots with Joe as much as he wants Joe to chase him. That takes a lot of energy to chase Danielson around the ring. And again, Greco-Roman knuckle lock. Looks like he's going to try to stomp the... Oh!
Well, that's a lot more effective than stomping the hands.
You got that right.
And he gets a 2 count out of it. Todd Sinclair right on top of the action. Going back to the ad, the Straight Shooting series, showing that ROH is the new King of the Shoot interview, Mick Foley, a can't-miss shoot interview. Many consider it the greatest shoot of all time, a double-disc set, and much more shoots, including One Man Gang, The Fantastics, Kamala, Too Cold Scorpio, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Steve Corino, Butch Reed, The Midnight Express, a new series with Jim Cornette that you'll hear about soon, Skandar Akbar, Tom Pritchard, Brad Armstrong, the list goes on and on. Straight Shoot series, ROHWrestling.com, 215-781-2500. The new King of the Shoot interview is here, and now it's all time for the action as Danielson goes down.
Well, Danielson got caught. We saw Danielson do some things that we normally don't see out of him. He was pretty much raking the face and gouging Samoa Joe and almost getting into it with the referee. Now Samoa Joe, reverse waist lock. Samoa Joe's gonna bring him up and drops him over the top rope, all the way to the floor. But Danielson has spent the early part of this match almost goading Joe, trying to get Joe to lose his temper, trying to get Joe to chase him. Well, that time the strategy backfires because he got caught. He gets caught with the knee, he gets caught with a strike, and now he just got dropped on his head over the top rope.
That could be the first major turning point of this match. Joe could be going for the ole ole kick early in this one, ignoring the referee's commands to take it back into the ring. Of course, there are no countouts here in ROH. If you are out there too long, you can be disqualified, but it would take a lot for Todd Sinclair to DQ either man in this match for being on the floor.
Now, this is the match Samoa Joe wants to wrestle. He's got the heaviest hands in ROH.
Danielson has the ole ole skin well scouted. Goes after the leg again.
Well, these two men have wrestled twice before.
There's something you usually don't see Bryan Danielson do.
This motherfucker is gonna pay!
Danielson's waited a long time for this world title opportunity, and he's gonna put it all on the line to get the belt.
There's an intensity and an aggressiveness in Bryan Danielson that you don't normally see. I mean, Danielson, usually a very controlled wrestler. I mean, to rephrase, he's intense, but it's more of a controlled aggression. Here he's pulling out more stops, he's taking more chances. He knows what's on the line here.
And he is beating Joe down. And there's an ole ole drop kick.
You could tell that Bryan Danielson has spent a lot of time studying DVDs of Samoa Joe. Of course, they have faced off twice in ROH and Split, and both of them have been on cards together and are very familiar with each other. And so far, the difference in this match is Bryan Danielson being one step ahead.
They have also trained extensively at the New Japan Dojo with each other. These two know strangers to each other. They know their strengths and weaknesses. Danielson continues to pummel Samoa Joe.
And I know this is working for him right now. I don't think this is the match Danielson wants to be wrestling. I think Danielson needs to get Samoa Joe back into the ring and start concentrating on getting him pinned.
Well, you can't win the world title on the floor.
And you don't want to be on the floor with Samoa Joe. At some point, he's going to start firing back.
Look at the psychotic look in the eyes of Bryan Danielson. This is the moment he's dreamed of since ROH was born. We got a cover.
And it kind of shows you what Bryan Danielson thinks of Samoa Joe, the fact that he is taking more risks than he normally takes. He knows he has to.
And I have some more big news, Mark Nolte. As many of you know, Jushin Thunder Liger is coming to Ring of Honor. He will be wrestling Bryan Danielson on November 5th in Revere, Massachusetts. But on November 6th, there will be a Dream Partner tag team match with Liger and Danielson on opposite sides. And Liger has already selected Samoa Joe as his partner. We do not know who Danielson's partner is yet. So these two will face off again November 6th at the Rexplex in Elizabeth, New Jersey in a Dream Partner tag team match. Who will Danielson's partner be?
If Danielson wins here, will he be defending the ROH title against Liger?
There's a good possibility of that.
European forearm uppercut. Samoa Joe uses the rope for momentum, comes back with a series of strikes.
And Danielson stops him with the thumb to the eyes. The crowd either cheering or booing Danielson for that tactic.
You know, this is a little bit different Bryan Danielson than we've seen in the past.
He is responding to those boos, showing that he does not care. He's in this for the world title, and that's it. He doesn't care if the fans approve it or not. One count only. What an atmosphere we have here. You have to be here live to experience something like this. And can you imagine what it'll be like when Jushin Liger comes to Ring of Honor? Can you imagine seeing Joe and Liger teaming up together?
Now he shoots the half and bars the other arm. Samoa Joe trying to knee strike his way out of trouble here.
Danielson instead just wrenches back.
Jimmy, you got to appreciate this game plan because we talked about how well these two guys know each other. Danielson knows that he's been well scouted. So he's definitely trying to wrestle a style that he doesn't normally wrestle, that Samoa Joe hasn't seen before, to take Samoa Joe off guard.
Bryan Danielson can adapt to any style and any opponent, whether it's CM Punk, Homicide, Austin Aries. He's proved it time and time again.
Or Jushin Liger.
And he is pulling back on that arm now. Todd Sinclair right on top of the action to see if Joe wants to give. It's going to take a lot for Joe to tap away the world title, though.
See, again, I think you have problems anytime you use multiple limbs to try to tie up one limb of your opponent, especially with somebody as powerful as Samoa Joe. If you don't neutralize Joe's base, that's the kind of thing that happens.
Danielson has been pretty much dominating so far, though. Joe's had his moments.
You do not want to get into a situation where you're trading strikes with Samoa Joe.
And Joe's proving that right here. Unleashing those big knees. That one connected right to the face, perhaps the temple of Bryan Danielson. And the Dragon is down, but he kicks Joe off. Every time it seems like Joe's going to get some momentum going, Danielson fires back. Whoa.
Now that's a forearm uppercut. I've never seen Joe floored like that before.
Those are the same European uppercuts that split open the chin of Austin Aries at Survival of the Fittest.
Jimmy, I know you're a boxing fan. Samoa Joe reminds me a little bit of George Foreman. With those heavy hands, he's always got the puncher's chance. Even if Samoa Joe is behind for 15 minutes, 1 or 2 strikes and Samoa Joe is winning the match.
That is very true. Joe with a knee right to the midsection of Danielson.
A lot of wrestlers will drop their opponent onto their knee. Samoa Joe knees Danielson in midair. And as Danielson, there really is a difference.
That will suck the oxygen right out of your body and make it hard to breathe. Perhaps now Joe can finally start mounting a flurry of offense. Every eye in this arena is glued on the ring right now. Joe going right back to the midsection. Danielson almost coughing up a lung there.
Jimmy, have you ever had a broken rib?
It makes it hard to breathe. Even when you laugh, it hurts.
Yeah, even when you breathe, it hurts. And that's where Bryan, I don't know if he has a broken rib, but I promise you with the damage that rib cage has taken, Bryan Danielson's struggling to breathe right now.
He is on the defensive. First he had to retreat into the ropes, and now he is backpedaling away from Joe.
Just trying to create some separation right now.
Joe trying to lay in those kicks. Danielson successful in avoiding him, although Joe is kicking him in that thigh now, and that could Charlie horse the thigh up. And look at that. What a half crab.
Half crab with a knee into the shoulder blade for good measure. Yeah, for the fans that wonder, the reason the half crab is more effective is because two arms are stronger than one arm, but two legs are stronger than 2 arms. When you half crab, it makes it much harder to power out. Danielson gets to the ropes.
Fortunately for Danielson, he was very close to the ropes here, and he realized it.
Looks like from here a full Nelson by Samoa Joe. Again, making Danielson carry that 270 pounds on top of it and putting more pressure, just collapsing those ribs.
Joe is also not allowing Danielson to expand those lungs or that midsection there, making it harder to breathe.
Exactly.
And Danielson powering out now, fighting back, clutching his fists together and almost like a mace. Just clubbing Joe repeatedly. That's rock hard fists hammering down on Joe. Sinclair telling Danielson to get him out of the ropes, and he does that and just launches that uppercut. Another one. So far, Danielson is outstriking Joe. I can't believe it.
Well, and more importantly, he's making Joe chase. Samoa Joe, almost cat-like quickness.
Sweeps the legs out from underneath Bryan Danielson. Goes for a pin. Gets a 2 count.
Samoa Joe, like a panther, just one motion uncoils, sweeps the legs, and takes back over.
The way these two are going right now, I think we might see that 60-minute mark. Joe, he proved he could go the distance against CM Punk at World Title Classic. Bryan Danielson's gone over an hour, testing the limit. Could these two reach an hour here tonight?
I still think, you're right, I don't think Joe's going to run out of gas, but I do think Danielson will be fresher the longer this match goes. The longer the match goes, the bigger advantage Danielson has.
Especially at this rate, as Danielson pretty much, I don't want to say dominating, but he has had the advantage for the most of this match.
And it looks like both these men are wrestling toward a long match.
Oh, you notice right there, Mark, Danielson clutching those ribs. The ribs might be a sore point on Bryan Danielson.
It's a mistake to be trading shots in the middle of the ring with Samoa Joe.
But Danielson, look at this. Once again, he gets the advantage. Spikes Joe down. Normally, I have to agree with you, Mark, but Danielson has gotten the advantage every time and scores with that diving headbutt.
Danielson pulling out all the stops. Hooks the foreleg. No!
Bryan Danielson, he's already worked on the leg. He's played Joe at his own game and gotten the advantage.
This time Joe's going to block the suplex. A second block by Joe. Now Danielson's going to drive the knees into the ribs. Joe hooks the leg.
Fisherman suplex for a 2.
Another drop kick by Danielson into the ribs. Enziguri by the Panther.
Joe just said to Danielson, I've had enough.
270-pound man cannot do a standing enziguri.
Joe just proved you wrong on this one, and is he going to go airborne again? You want to talk about agility? You want to question why this man is the world champion? You just saw why. Very few can do what Samoa Joe can do.
And again, the aggressiveness of Samoa Joe had the match back at even and still took a huge risk with a tope suicida to the outside. If he misses that, his title reign is over. But Samoa Joe never wrestles not to lose. He'll always be very aggressive. He almost approaches these matches like he's the challenger.
Joe doesn't plan on going 60 tonight. And it could be ole ole kick time. That one scores. Joe finally putting together a flurry of offense.
And Bryan Danielson is out. Samoa Joe can take him back into the ring and finish him off.
I mean, look what Joe did to that steel barricade. Can you imagine what that did to Bryan Danielson's face?
Danielson's lucky he doesn't have half his face caved in.
Tremendous crowd on hand here in Philadelphia to see this match.
Samoa Joe now needs to press the advantage. He needs to get him in the ring. He needs to finish him off. One thing we've learned from Bryan Danielson, he can wrestle from behind.
He's going to have to wrestle from behind if Samoa Joe connects with his ole ole kick.
He's going to have to be wrestling from under the ring if he hits this.
Danielson might be out. We might have a KO in this one.
How impressive would it be on Samoa Joe's record if he holds off the challenge of Bryan Danielson with a knockout?
Those fans are calling this one right.
Well, the FCC won't let us repeat what they're saying.
Joe, though, instead of being aggressive here, maybe, is he taking a breather?
Well, he's doing two things here. Number one, he's catching his wind. You got to remember, Samoa Joe, we've seen in the last few minutes, not only the two ole ole kicks, but the tope suicida to the floor.
Joe now getting his bearings.
But I agree with you. I would have liked to have seen Joe roll Danielson into the ring and finish him off.
Perhaps that's what he's going to do right here.
And remember the punishment those ribs have taken when Samoa Joe if he goes for a triangle choke later.
Danielson targeting the leg once again.
Something you almost never see Samoa Joe do. Take his eye off the ball. Turns his back on Bryan Danielson. Danielson with a desperation move clips the knee.
Danielson worked on the leg early in the match, hasn't really focused on it, but perhaps he injured that limb enough so in desperation circumstances like we just had, he can always go back to that leg of Samoa Joe.
Danielson can't be in good shape right now either. I think one of the reasons I think he's spending some time with Samoa Joe in the ropes is Danielson needs some time to clear his head. Drop kick into the knee.
I said before he hasn't really targeted the leg much. I'm taking that back now.
Well, he caught that clip full on.
And he has since been relentless going after the leg of Samoa Joe.
Now earlier, it looks like he's going to try for the reverse double toe hold here. Earlier we saw maybe an Indian deathlock here.
Perhaps a Muda lock. He's grabbing, trying to grab the arms of Joe. And he throws himself backwards, stretching out the ligaments and tendons in the knee of Samoa Joe.
Falling away with that Indian deathlock.
Once again, every time he falls back, that stretches those tendons and ligaments in the knees. And there's the bridge, Muda lock. Joe close to the ropes, that could be his only chance. You know the pain has to be racing through his legs right now.
I'm not sure Samoa Joe knows. Yes, he does know, and he's just going to reach up and grab the ropes. Danielson's going to hold that count up to 4. Going to keep doing as much damage to that knee as he can. Earlier we saw Danielson also use a reverse step over toe hold with a high bridge. The thing about Danielson is he's got so many weapons in his arsenal.
Don't you want to keep Samoa Joe off his feet at this point?
Absolutely. I was about to mention he's got so many leg locks he can go to. Again, I don't know why you want Joe upright.
Joe's limping badly. Oh, he gets caught. No, Danielson reverses that sidewalk slam into a headlock. And we got a cover!
Only two.
Danielson needs to go back to the leg. He needs to continue putting pressure on that knee.
There haven't been a lot of men that have tried to go after Samoa Joe's leg in this title reign. Perhaps this will be the key to victory for Bryan Danielson. Reversal. And this time Joe catches him for a 2 count.
Now Samoa Joe, let's see if he can hold that base on the power bomb. He does.
There's a lot of power in those legs, Mark Nolte. And he's got the STF hooked. And look at him, he just was clutching at his knee. Perhaps this is causing Samoa Joe some pain too.
Samoa Joe may have to let this hold go if his knee can't hold out.
And yes, he could not hold on, but he still has Danielson in a hold. Can the American Dragon reach the ropes? Joe trying to wrench back.
And remember, Danielson hurt his, well, didn't hurt his ribs. Samoa Joe hurt the ribs for him. And that 3/4 Nelson works over Danielson's ribs, continues to put the pressure on the lungs and the rib cage of Bryan Danielson. Now it's turned into a war of attrition. Samoa Joe gimping badly on the knee. Bryan Danielson might be able to roll through here.
Oh, he goes to the knee, stomping that knee, kicking backwards. Joe misses a lariat. Danielson right back to the knee.
Drop kick right into the knee by Danielson. And it's going to go into the step over toe hold.
It's as basic as it gets, but very effective. And now Danielson, look at how he's tying that up, using his foot on the foot of Samoa Joe.
This is the Indian deathlock from the other side.
Look at that bridge. Look at the strain, the stress that must be on the knees of Samoa Joe right now.
And Samoa Joe can't strike him to get out of it as he can when it's deathlock from the other side.
And now look at how those legs are tied up.
Now it's a cross-legged Indian deathlock.
And Joe saves himself by reaching the ropes.
That's what I was saying earlier, Jimmy. Bryan Danielson, so versatile, knows so many holds, so many ways to work on that knee. starting to become a factor here.
Especially since Samoa Joe has absorbed so much punishment in this match. Saves himself with that power slam. Cover!
Well, not only did he hit that power slam,
he turns it right over, trying to cross-arm breaker, but Danielson rolls over.
this is the training both these men have had in the dojo.
What a snap suplex there by Danielson, and he's trying to hook cattle mutilation. He's got it. Will the champion tap? Danielson, no, turns it over. I thought that was it, Mark. That's how he defeated Austin Aries at Testing the Limit.
Well, so did the crowd. Did you hear the crowd gasp when Samoa Joe rolled his shoulders? Now the crowd that was on Bryan Danielson earlier is now starting to rally behind him. I think the crowd senses a potential title change.
What an atmosphere we have here. You have to be here live to experience this. Only at ROH do you get an atmosphere like this. Joe planted on the top rope. Danielson going for the home run here.
We talked earlier how Danielson is taking risks that he normally might not take. Uh-oh, he's got Bryan Danielson caught in the wrong part of town.
Oh, he's going for that choke. Danielson tied up into the ropes. Todd Sinclair demanding a break. Danielson flung backwards with a German suplex.
Look at Samoa Joe. He's having a hard time catching his wind.
Desperation lariat scores. Cover.
I thought he had him. I absolutely thought he had him.
Both these men might be one move away from winning this match. Can Joe get the island driver, the muscle buster, or the choke? Can Bryan Danielson get cattle mutilation again?
Both these men have absorbed so much punishment. It has now become a war of attrition.
Joe maybe getting a second wind, or at this point a third or fourth wind. He has that cure look in his eye. Muscle buster! He's got him out for the muscle buster! Danielson pummeling the face of Joe and gets out of it! Unleashes those forearms! Roaring forearm! Joe like a tree! Goes down after the kick to the knee! Danielson has him hooked! Dragon suplex cover! Oh, and Danielson not able to hold Joe down. He's going for cattle mutilation. Yes!
And this time, Joe's going to make it to the ropes. Jimmy, listen to this crowd. They really can sense right now that they may be part of a special night. They are really feeling that there's a title change in the air.
Danielson can feel it too. You see that look in his eye? Oh, Joe right to the ribs. Big knee. This is Joe's last adrenaline rush.
And he's trying to knock Bryan Danielson out with those knees. Danielson back on top. Now it's Danielson planting the knees right into the nose and the face.
Joe, desperation knees. And he's got the choke. Can Danielson survive? Joe turns it over in the middle of the ring. Dragon's got nowhere to go.
Samoa Joe beats the odds one more time. Has there ever been a more resilient champion?